Hello everyone, the field test I chose for this discussion will be the 9 or 12-minute run test to evaluate VO2 max outside of the clinical setting. So we're going to go over the directions to complete the test. The directions on how to complete this test are as follows. It would be optimal to have a 400-meter track or flat course with measured distances. The measured distances are for the ease of counting of the number of laps completed so that they may be multiplied by the course distance. Now, what you'd like to do is place markers to divide this course into quarters or eighths of a mile so that you can easily determine the exact distance covered in the timeline of 9 or 12 minutes. Now, walking is allowed, but remind the participants that they should aim to cover as much distance as possible in either 9 or 12 minutes. For this test, I would administer the 12-minute equation. So at the end of the test, I would calculate the total distance and convert it into meters if it wasn't already converted. Now, after they complete the 12-minute test, I will use the equation for the 12 minutes, which would be 0.0268 times the distance covered in meters. Then you would subtract 11.3. And that's how we would estimate the participants' VO2 max. Now, as far as necessary materials to complete the test, what you would need, not much actually, just a track would be probably optimal, or a large flat area where you can mark the distances, as mentioned before, in quarters or eighths of a mile. Now, as far as the strengths and weaknesses go for this test, I would say that the strengths of this test would be its overall flexibility and minimal equipment required. It'd be a great tool if you wanted to gather health data for large groups and want to avoid costly and time-consuming efforts that it would take to actually do the actual VO2 max test in a clinical setting. It'd be rather difficult and very costly, I'm sure. So if you have a large group and you want to gather some of this data, the ease of this test, just getting maybe just renting a track for a day, or maybe a park, a large flat area, and just measuring the location and putting your markers would be relatively cost effective. The weaknesses would be the accuracy of the test as a direct index for a subject's VO2 max. Correlations are shown that between the distance run tests they vary considerably depending on the subject, sample size, and testing procedures. So it's not that accurate, but what they do find that is generally the longer the run, the higher the correlation with the VO2 max. So based on this information, you actually want to at least use a test with at least a 1 mile or more distance, and have the test go on minimally at 9 minutes to 12 minutes.